Hi, I'm Lalita. Welcome to the Central Room. In this crucial moment, as humans and a species in metamorphosis, we're standing at a threshold. Technology is rewriting our cultural DNA, and wellness, a multi-trillion-dollar global force, is rising alongside it. This tells a profound story, the story of the future. In this moment, right now, you and I are deciding what humanity becomes next. Every conversation about health, love, power, and survival isn't just collective, it's personal. We are the architects of a new paradigm. Here we gather the voices, the tools, the vision to build it powerfully. Stepping into the Ascension Room. Here, you and I become, if you choose to.
I am Lalita and we are in the Ascension Room. I'm here with Josh, who's a long-time friend of mine. He has a master's in social work and public health, and he has been helping women to get off blood pressure medication, helping them to lose weight and repair their gut health. So Josh, now that you have been helping women, what do you feel that women or just people in general are getting wrong about food right now?
It's a great question, Lalita, and thanks so much for having me on. I think that there's a lot of different things that people struggle with on a day-to-day basis, and women, men, if you look at the advertisements coming in, there is so much information about what's healthy, what to eat, and in order to sort that out, to really read the evidence and understand what might be the best way to, lose weight, to heal your gut, it can be confusing. So I think if we were really to bring this down to behaviors for weight loss, there's two ways you can lose weight. You can eat less and move more. That's typically what's sold, especially to younger women, and it works. You get beautiful before and after photos, but you realize your metabolism starts to slow. And I speak to a lot of women that have lost 60 pounds, 80 pounds, and when they got to that point where they were at this weight, they had to use immense willpower to just stay at that weight. And as a result, they gained it all back and had a lot of digestive issues that followed, because if we don't change the food we're eating, most of us, we went to school, we eat the food that was provided to us, and unfortunately that food is not usually something that really nourishes us. And so if we don't make a big shift in how we eat and how we live our lives, it's going to be really hard not just to lose weight, but to deal with our gut sensitivities, to deal with the dysfunction in our stomach, and to live a healthful life.
So if you were saying like what they're actually getting wrong, what I'm understanding is that it is that disconnection between like the misinformation and how to find the right information and being able to make changes based on the right information instead of just calories in, calories out. That works for a bit, but then doesn't work.
That's right. Yeah, this is, if you're looking online or even watching a podcast, you might get two different answers to the same question. And how do you know who to trust, right? I don't blame anybody for struggling in this environment where there's a lot of money behind what we should eat. We look at the recent dietary guidelines that just came out 2 days ago here in 2026, and they're encouraging things that are not necessarily based on the best evidence. They're encouraging us to cut out carbs. I think maybe we'll focus on that as a big one, is that a lot of people think they need to stop eating potatoes, bread, whole grains, and these are things—
Rice.
Yeah, rice, exactly. And these are part of a healthy diet and a healthy lifestyle. I eat tons of whole carbohydrate foods. I don't eat a lot of processed foods, but to understand that it's not as simple as just cutting out carbs. It's just eating less and moving more.
And as you just mentioned right now, I know you have been through this journey like intimately. You have been dealing with IBS since you were like a child, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so for those that don't know what irritable bowel syndrome is, irritable bowel syndrome is when you realize a change in your gut. It can happen overnight, or like we talked about in the park today, it can happen when you get food poisoning or you get a virus, maybe even COVID. I recently was in a walk with the park with a few clients, and they mentioned their son had COVID and developed a hypersensitive stomach. At which point, this happened to me at the age of probably 10 years old, I noticed that my stomach just was always in pain. By 12, I told my teacher that I was praying to God because I thought I was going to die. And I did not know what to do. And it took until the age of 14 where to get an IBS diagnosis, they do a colonoscopy. Typically, you wait till you're 50 for that. They do an endoscopy where they had me swallow a camera this big just to tell me that my stomach looked fine. I looked healthy. But I was running to the bathroom. I was taking 4 Imodium a day. And I was just dealing with constipation, diarrhea, this alternating experience, and not knowing which foods were safe. So, you know, anxiety about going to school, getting in a car, you know, was really difficult. So I've been dealing with IBS and learning what it takes to actually heal your gut and feel good in your body. And that's taken a long time.
So what was the moment for you that was the most impactful in this journey of yours with food personally? And that has taken you to this place where like, okay, now that I know all of this, I want to share it. This episode was sponsored by the Body Temple, where self-care is self-love. When we are taken care of in a mind, body, soul level, we can take care of everything else on an easier way. Either in our career, our health, our relationships, we can have a better impact when we are taken care of. So you can find a variety of services like massage specialties to increase relaxation, your recovery rates after workout, to relieve pain, stress, and as well as beauty services to help you increase your confidence, or wellness treatment plans for conditions like sciatica, nerve entrapment, anxiety and depression, and women's reproductive health like endometriosis, fibroids, regulating your cycles, and more. You can also find different products that if you implement in your daily life, you are going to increase your quality of life, like tongue scrapers, copper water bottles, eye sleep mask to help you sleep in a protected way without light so you can enter deeper states of rest. You can also find or enter spaces in our courses and programs where you are going to develop your emotional intelligence and stop self-sabotage so you can start creating as well as receiving all the good things that life has to offer, where your personal power is recovered. If you want to know more of all the things that you can find at the Body Temple that are to take care of you, you can see more of the Body Temple in the description or in the page right here.
Yeah, that's a great question. There are a few light bulb moments in my life. One of the first was at the doctor's office. We did the test. They're sitting down. We don't think anything's wrong with you. We're not really sure, but here's a few options. You can try a low FODMAP diet. So this was advice that was given to me by the doctor. I think they printed out a sheet of paper and I looked at it and said, this looks way too intense to do alone. I didn't feel comfortable actually doing this. And when I reached out to a dietitian, they said it's not covered by insurance, you know, and we're not sure how long it will take for you to actually get results. And there was a lot of uncertainty. And so I told the doctor, I'm not comfortable with making a big change. I literally said, I don't want to change my diet completely. And he said, well, just try to cut out high fructose corn syrup. So people may have heard of high fructose corn syrup. You may look at the back of a Coke bottle or the back of some bread.
Like it's in everything.
Yeah, it's in everything. But I'm like, okay, this seems a little easier than the low FODMAP diet doing alone. And so throughout that month, there were only 3 times that I had high fructose corn syrup. And each time the next day I had diarrhea, upset stomach. And so that was the first time I made the connection between what I put in my body and my stomach, which it makes sense. Like what you eat impacts your gut, like, of course. But throughout that process of my stomach feeling better, I also lost 25 pounds over the course of 2, 3, 4 months. I didn't count the months. I didn't take a before and after photo. This was just a side effect of really trying to heal my gut. And this was at a point where I was 200 pounds in high school and I made it down to 175 without trying. after, you know, trying to do push-ups, trying not to eat all the chips and trying to limit my portion. So that was the first of many light bulb moments that happened. Now it's over 14 years ago.
And I know you also like do these like hikes with people. So like where did foraging came into the picture in all of this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It seems like things all kind of happened at once. You know, when you're on a healing journey and you seek information, you don't know where to look and who to ask. And so the foraging came with my fascination with mushrooms. I learned about their healing potentials. I learned about the more spiritual side of mushrooms. And I was just curious, you know, how would I survive like my ancestors survived? I learned that you can't obviously survive off mushrooms. You need to learn how to eat plants. But I was also dealing with a lot of gut issues, a lot of gastrointestinal disorders. And so I wanted to essentially see what happened in society before we relied on our modern agriculture system. And, you know, if money didn't exist, how would we survive? So that was at 16 years old. I was telling my mom I wanted to live on a commune, and she said, Josh, you can't do that. It's never going to work. You're never going to make any money. You're just going to live a pretty sad life. And I said, you know, being rebellious in my teenage years, I'm like, no, I want to learn these things. And so as a child, when I was struggling at home, maybe we had conflicts, I would go to nature and be in the forest. And I realized how healing it was. And at first, I didn't even think Georgia was a good spot to learn about mushrooms. But in the course of waiting for the summer and seeing the rains, I learned about oyster mushrooms and chanterelles and just beautiful diversity. And it really made me fascinated with what other food and medicines are right beneath our feet that we don't know exist.
So when you're helping people and they're changing their lifestyle, where are you starting with them?
That's a good question. Well, I meet people where they're at. So when I work with women, the first step is to see what they're eating every day on a regular basis, right? Because some of us may love certain foods and others may say, these are off limits, these hurt my gut, right? So I don't just give out random plans and meal plans to people because there, as you know, we've talked about, there can be unintentional consequences, especially if you're not ready for that. So for women that have a sensitive digestion, you know, we want to start slow with plants that don't cause a lot of gas, a lot of bloating and GI discomfort. And, you know, there's a good quote by Dr. 𝗲𝗏, he's a gastroenterologist, and he says, low and slow. You know, if you only eat 4 or 5 plants. We don't want to go to eating 300 different plants in a week, right? That's going to lead to bloating, pain, cramps. And so we want to start with simple foods that are going to keep you feeling full, keep you feeling nourished, and not cause a lot of pain, especially if you're in that cycle of not knowing what to trust. Right?
Yeah, because we can have this idea that we're eating healthy because we're eating plants, right? But that doesn't always translate to really having good impact in your body because these plants may not be for you at this moment, right? And that has happened to me when I was sick, just got into the United States. I was eating a lot of chickpeas because they were supposed to be anti-cancer, you know, help you fight cancer. And I couldn't digest them. And I was eating a ton of them. And it was causing a lot of problems besides a lot of other things. But I was eating healthy. I was eating like a whole plant based diet, but I was not feeling good because I had all these different food sensitivities and I didn't even know that I had them. And thinking that I'm eating healthy, I am so confused and feeling so much frustration when we are in that space that we're thinking, oh, we're doing the healthy thing, but it's not really making an impact.
100%. And a lot of women that I work with, I think there are kind of 2 groups. If you're not eating a diversity of plant foods and you're struggling with gut health, you're struggling with excess weight. You know, some people know they have really bad gut issues. And other people don't yet know, but they try to go quickly into something that they're told is healthy. And they get a lot of pain. And they haven't been to the doctor because to get an IBS diagnosis, you need to go through thousands of dollars of tests to be told we don't know what's wrong with you. So there are a group of people that don't know that certain ways of just going in 100% could cause some difficulties with digestion. So I do want to be clear that if people have a diagnosis already and they're working with a medical team, we do partner you with a registered dietitian that uses a whole food plant-based diet and a low FODMAP approach to be able to slowly introduce healthful foods so that you're not overwhelming your system, but that we get to a place where your gut is resilient and able to eat things that once maybe triggered you.
And beyond food, I know that there's other elements that do affect your gut health, which affects a lot of things in your physical health. What are those other things that you have seen that work really well when it comes to repairing your gut health?
That's a great question. So one of the non-food lessons that I learned that really changed my life, I actually tore my shoulder playing baseball and went to a physical therapist, and I was ready to improve my shoulder, and he said, "How do you breathe?" I said, "What do you mean? I'm here for my shoulder. Why are we talking about the breath?" And if I wasn't referred to by a doctor that operated on the Braves players, like I would not have trusted this guy at all.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here just to get better at pitching. And he said, it's all connected. The reason you hurt yourself is because your breath is not functioning correctly. And so you can try this at home. Take a deep breath in. Does your stomach get bigger or smaller when you breathe in?
Bigger.
Bigger. So, but if you're going like this, chances are sometimes the stomach gets smaller.
Yeah.
Right? And so in order to actually breathe with the diaphragm, that helps relax the entire digestive system. And
yeah, so real time, we were actually foraging this morning in the, what was the name of the park?
that was the West Side Park.
Yeah, where it's like we get our reservation of water here in
Yeah, the
Atlanta.
reservoir.
Yeah, so you're gonna see some of the footage of him showing me plants that we can literally eat that are right here at the park.
So this is the first time that we're reconnecting in 10 years.
I
We got
know.
certified as yoga teachers in
We did.
Athens in 2016. And I'm so excited that we get to walk around together and reconnect on our journeys here
Yeah.
in the city.
What have you been doing like 10 years?
In 10 years, yeah, that's a good question. Well, I got my Master's of Public Health and Master's of Social Work at the University of Georgia, and I met my girlfriend and partner here in Atlanta, and I moved to the city, and we've been building healthy community ever since. So we've been doing plant-based potlucks, we've been doing retreats in the mountains.
Oh, nice.
I've been teaching about the wild plants and mushrooms here in the city, and enjoying the wind, I guess. And just bringing people out into nature to understand the connection between our health and our everyday life that we live. So really,
Yeah, and so how does that being going? Like, do you feel like people do get some sort of understanding, or like are able to connect with that truth of that our environment and the way that we're living does have an impact? Even because some people could like understand it, but they're not connected to it. Those are two different things.
absolutely. Like here we'll see there's a little green onion here, which is all over, and I notice, a lot of people here, you can see and smell it. Does that smell like onion to you?
Yes.
Yeah. So, a lot of people that come on walks with me, at least they may know me from Atlanta Mushrooming or Atlanta Foraging. These are two groups that I started here on Facebook. There's over 4,000 people in the Atlanta Mushrooming group.
Oh, wow.
And
I love
people
mushrooms.
people that seek out mushrooms, plants, and just want to learn more about the healing medicine in our environment. I think they're a unique type of person that is attracted to the work that I do. So it's not like your typical American is coming on my hike here. We have all kinds of diverse people that we connect with, private chefs that came on the last hike, people that are doctors, nurses, and people that have tried to seek answers through the medical system and haven't been able to find them. So I had a woman that came looking for morel mushrooms, and I asked, well, why are you here? And she mentioned, well, I've been in a ton of pain. I've tried everything. And when I was foraging one day, I had mushrooms and my knee pain went away. And
Wow.
Yeah, and so
Like
that's
how she decided to get that mushroom specifically.
I don't know. I think morels are a really fun mushroom that comes up in the spring and people get really excited about them. Also, if you look at them in stores, they're like $60 a pound. So people are motivated because a lot of these medicinal plants, a lot of these supplements, you know, like turkey tail, maybe we'll find that today. Journey for myself was like growing up very disconnected from the beauty from all of the food and medicine that's here. You know, in the background, we can see all these pine trees.
Yeah.
So we make tea with the pine trees and the needles are full of vitamin C.
Really?
Yeah, so we can, here, I'll show you. Let's see if we go to this little pine. So at this time of year, the pine needles, if you want to take off the top of one of these, sometimes I'll just go like this and then smell it. You can smell. And so that's so then when you
wait, do you have to chew it or no?
So what I do,
you take the top off, but you don't chew the top off.
I don't chew the top off, but
I was chewing the thing.
No. So what I do is can you get that flavor? And there's no pine needles that you're gonna mistake for anything deadly, but it's got like a lemony. Look at the face. Look at the face you're making. So every pine tree tastes different. We have like I think 10 different species in Georgia. Some taste really good, some don't. But that strong lemony flavor, that's the vitamin C.
Oh wow!
And so you can actually take that and put it in tea. Pine needles, it helps with boosting your immunity. So people that are going to the store buying vitamin C supplements, you can literally just go for a walk. You can see all of the green over here are pine trees, you know, and they can make a really great medicine. So when people came over from Europe to America and they got scurvy because they didn't have any plants on the boat, some places they went in the north, they made tea from either pine or they made it from cedar, and they were able to reverse the bleeding of the gums, the swelling of the legs, and heal people that were on the edge of death.
Wow.
And so you can tell like the colors right now in the winter are so vibrant, right? And so there's actually more protein in the leaves right now. There's more nutrients in the winter. So,
there's more nutrients in the winter.
Yep, in the pine needles.
In the pine needles specifically.
Specifically the pine needles, yep.
Okay, okay.
So isn't that cool? It's like the little, you know, the little things that a lot of our ancestors knew, the little tips and tricks that get us more connected. And, you know, if you're feeling like aromatherapy, right? That's something, whenever we're going, you know, I'll always give it a smell. So as a child at 16, there's no research that shows what causes us to breathe in the shallow breath. But babies, if you look at all babies, when they breathe in, their stomach gets bigger.
Yeah,
and they breathe out, it gets smaller.
Yeah.
But I was overweight, I was nearly 200 pounds, and I wanted to impress the women. And so I would suck in my stomach. And when you take a deep breath in, you can look big and pregnant.
Of course you do. Yes, you do.
No one wants to go walking around in a bathing suit with a big stomach looking like you're pregnant, breathing. But that's the most comfortable way to relax. So a lot of women with IBS and gut issues, and I ask, how do you breathe? A lot of women will take a shallow breath. And so we teach people, we say, you know, what I do is I take my hands, and you could try this at home. It might be easier to lay down, but you push in, and you want to try this with me? Put your hands here.
Yeah, of course.
So push into your stomach and breathe out. Breathe in and push your stomach against your hand. Breathe out and push your hand into your stomach. Hold that empty. And then breathe in, push your stomach against your hands. How's that feel?
I mean, I feel definitely more relaxed in general, for sure.
And I've done this with people that are struggling with nicotine addiction, and within 2 breaths, just seeing the calm, right? So we talk about the gut-brain axis, and there's research to show that deep diaphragm breathing helps with IBS, constipation, pain, and bloating. And I want to make it clear, it's not just one thing. So a lot of people have been told it's just stress, it's all in your head, and I don't want to make that seem like that's the case at all. And at the same time, calming the stress. You know, we got certified 10 years ago in yoga together, 2016, and learning how to calm our breath, move our body, it helps move the gas around. It helps prevent the gas from getting stuck. It helps our digestion. So deep breathing is just one little thing that changed my life.
So have you observed any difference between the people that use both approaches, changing their diet with the pacing and the breathing, or people who have just done the diet or just done the breathing? Have you seen, what has been your experience observing that?
That's a great question. So there's my experience and then there's the research as well. And I love to bring both in because sometimes things can feel good but not actually make long-term change.
Of course.
But for everybody, I do ask, how do you breathe? Because I think that's central to how we relax our nervous system, right? And the diet is important as well, though when we're in flares and we're struggling, we're traveling, which I find especially with IBS, right? I'm getting in the car. What if I don't make it to a bathroom, right? What if I'm in pain and something happens? And these what ifs, you'll notice when these thoughts are going on that you're not taking a deep breath.
No, of course not, because you're in worry mode.
The breath gets shallow and the digestion becomes either quicker if you're dealing with IBS-D, where before a talk or something that's a lot of energy, my stomach will move a lot quicker. For people that are not as healthy, they might have diarrhea constantly and not want to leave the house. And for those that are constipated, they may feel a lot more bloating and pain. So I do want to share a little bit about the research by Monash Institute, the Monash University. They're in Australia and New Zealand, and they study people with IBS. They developed the low FODMAP diet back in, I think, 2005. And they found that that was really able to, for 70 to 80% of people, reduce their IBS symptoms. Now, this is something that you do with a dietitian, somebody who's trained to support you every step of the way, and that's what we do in our program as well. And at the same time, they studied gut-directed hypnotherapy by itself. And I want to be clear, in the studies, this was an hour a day, every day for 6 weeks. And, we've meditated before, and that is a hard thing to do.
Yeah, of course.
Alone, especially, it takes time. And in this instance, they're working with professionals that individually tailor the relaxation technique to yourself.
Yeah.
And they found that that was also very effective for 70 or 80% of people. And they also looked at people that did the diet and the gut-directed hypnotherapy at the same time. Was also effective, but at 6 months, it was not as effective as just the hypnotherapy or just the diet. Now, if you just read that research and look at the chart, and if you don't pay $40 to actually read the full study, you may think that it's worse to do both.
Oh, wow.
But the study only looked at 25 people in each group. And the part about the low FODMAP diet is this is not something you do forever. And this is a mistake I made and many people make, is that this is 2, 4, 6 weeks, not 6 months, a year for life. And when we exclude things for life, our gut microbiome, they've done research where your bacteria is not diverse. So you're not protected against future illness and chronic disease.
Got it, yeah. Okay, so this is, I think, a very important point, especially for the people who are listening, because we were talking about pacing at the beginning, right? I don't know if we have touched it right now. When we're off camera, we were talking about how starting this lifestyle change, like one food at a time, you're pacing. Is that what the FOD diet is?
The low FODMAP. So FODMAP stands for fermentable oligo di and monosaccharides and polyols. So these are, maybe we'll put something on the screen here, but or below. But these are parts of plants that can ferment and cause gas. And now imagine if you're constipated, you haven't gone in 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and you eat something that causes gas, and it's just in your stomach fermenting and more gas, that for those that are in pain from gas, it's a select group of people, that makes life unbearable. Really, really difficult, right? And so the low FODMAP diet cuts out a lot of the things that cause gas. And though FODMAP is a spectrum, so I just talked with another client that said, yeah, I mean, I heard 4 strawberries is fine, but 5 is too many. And that's because there's a spectrum. So if you eat 1 chickpea that's well cooked, are you going to be in pain with gas? Like, probably not. But if you have 100.
Yeah.
You know, it's a spectrum. And so, yes, the low FODMAP diet lowers the threshold so that you're not in pain.
Okay.
And once you're not in pain, the FODMAPs are extremely helpful. We're talking about beans, right? Beans that are all long-lived populations. If you look at the blue zones and you look at Japan, right, where in Okinawa, they were eating soybeans. You look at Loma Linda, California, they're eating a mix of beans, and Nicoya, Costa Rica, beans. So you want to be eating beans, but you don't want to hurt yourself. And that's why you work with a professional to go slowly over time, step by step.
Yeah.
So each person will try to introduce foods one at a time. And we mentioned that there's ancestral and traditional ways in Peru, the dieta, where they give you quinoa. They give you, let's say, peppers, which are also low in FODMAPs. They'll give you cucumbers and carrots and potatoes. You know, these are actually all low FODMAP foods that are very calming. And then you'll add one food that could be challenging. You try that for 1, 2, 3 days, and if you're not feeling any pain, then you know that that food at that amount was okay for you. And so it's a little more complicated than that. And they have found that if you do this alone, the success rate is only about 15% because it is very difficult. And unfortunately, insurance doesn't typically cover this procedure because it's a long-term process. And I've talked with dietitians. They tell me people get bored.
Yeah.
You know,
I can
like,
totally
this
imagine.
is so bland and it's hard and I need to go slowly, and you need to check in regularly with somebody that's supporting you.
Yeah, of course.
Right? And what I love about the dieta, more spiritual process, is that you're connecting with the energy of the food and asking yourself, how is this food going to serve me? So maybe it makes it a little more fun and people get more engaged and they start to see, okay, these are some of my triggers. These are things that feel good.
So the low fat maps and the pacing, are those the same thing?
So if you give them the same food that I eat today to somebody who does not eat as much fiber, they're going to have a lot of difficulties. And that's where you want to go low and slow. You may not need to go directly to a low FODMAP diet and work with a dietitian. You might be able to work with me to just slowly increase the amount of foods. So in which case, if you just count how many different plant foods are you eating a day? For some people it's 5, for some people it's 10. And you can slowly increase that rather than going to 30 or 40, like what would be advised for long-term health.
Has ever happened something to you that you feel like, oh wow, it makes me believe in something bigger?
My mom used to have breast cancer. Yeah, and she had, oh, it's gonna make me emotional.
Oh, that's certainly
my
okay.
goodness.
Yes.
So my mom had breast cancer. I was in high school and she was like a single mom. She did everything like herself. She was still working. And she had 8 ounces of fluid on her heart and had to have immediate open heart surgery.
Yeah.
And now she's 10 years cancer free.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
You're welcome.
for sharing.
Yeah, of course. You guys have a good day.
You too.
Okay, so now that people, let's say they did the pacing, they did the low fat maps, they will start healing their gut health, and then they can start eating differently. You can imagine like your body reacted maybe to certain foods that you thought were healthy in a not healthy way, like in my case, chickpeas. But now maybe that their gut flora is more restored because they have been working slowly to repair it. They can start eating maybe things that they couldn't before.
That's right. Yes. So just last night, I went to a restaurant and they put a ton of garlic on the food. I don't know why. Every single side had garlic, garlic, garlic. And the low FODMAP diet, something I went through myself, tells you to cut out garlic. Or if you use it, you can use garlic infused oil or the green tops. But I feel great. I feel fine. And I was surprised that I was able to eat an amount that I would never put for myself. And so, especially if you've had, let's say, antibiotics, which is very common, and it can wipe out the whole gut flora. You want to go low and slow, but imagine that if there's a few microorganisms in your stomach that can eat chickpeas. They can handle one chickpea, but they can't handle 50. And you give them 50, you're in pain. But slowly over time, you give them 1. You give them 2 chickpeas, and then 3. I've met women that literally just do a teaspoon of beans a day, and their gut flora grows over time.
Wow. And normally how long does it take?
It's a good question. It depends on the person, and of course, as we mentioned, stress, right? So if you're able to calm your stress, you might be able to adapt and quicker, yes. And there's also, you know, we talk about the psychological aspects. If you think that gas is bad for you and you don't want to have gas, like, well, we all have gas, just, you know, spoiler alert. But like that anxiety can keep women in a system of inflammation and in pain. So everybody's journey is different, but the FODMAP diet specifically, it should be 2, 4, 6 weeks. You should notice your symptoms resolving and slowly improving. Otherwise, you're advised to try something else.
Oh my God, like I have to spend on this like 3 months, 6 months, a year before I start feeling better. Okay.
No. Which, again, if you were like me and the doctor said, try the low FODMAP diet, and they just give you a sheet of paper with no guidance like they gave me, that's where I hit my second rock bottom. I had already lost the weight. I was in Argentina, and I was in Patagonia, and they barely had any food that I could do the low FODMAP diet with. I ended up fainting before getting on the plane.
Wow.
And I said, like, I don't know if that my teacher said, Josh, there's no planes for 3 days. You need to get on this plane. They gave me a banana and a carrot, but like, I thought I needed to be on the FODMAP diet forever because I didn't have that guidance. I didn't work with a professional or a coach or mentor. And so that was a big mistake, like trying to do it on your own, because there are ways to do it. There's apps and there's books, but it can get really confusing if you don't have years of research.
And where does the blood pressure medications come off? Like, because, because I know one of the biggest results that you have had with people that you have helped, of course, they lose weight and they heal their digestive symptoms, but they also come off of medication, which high blood pressure is one of the biggest killers in the United States.
That's right.
So where is that connection?
Yeah, so blood pressure, and I want to be clear that I work with the medical team. So if you're on blood pressure medication, we talk with your doctor before you make any dietary changes, because especially as you get into your 60s and 70s, if you...
Which is the types of women that you have worked with as well.
Right. So I work with women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. I have a client who's 89 years old. I just got to see her in Alabama. She made it to my sister's wedding, which was her big goal, was making it and feeling safe. But, you know, dealing with blood pressure medication, if your blood pressure drops too low, that's when people start losing their balance and getting dizzy. And we know that falls are one of the biggest concerns for women as they age, right? You know, if you fall and break a hip. So I want to share that the diet is directly linked to our blood pressure. There are foods that are specifically really good at lowering blood pressure. So hibiscus tea is one that there's research that it's a strong tea, maybe 2 bags multiple times a day, but that can lower your blood pressure as well as some blood pressure medication.
Oh, wow.
And flax seeds as well are very effective. And this is research that you can give people, test their blood pressure before and after reliably. You know, not just my friend tried it and it worked.
Yeah.
But beyond that, the salt in the food is a big thing, right? When we eat out, they add a ton of salt to food, and about 1/3 of the population responds directly to how much salt we're eating. So you take the processed foods out, you take some of the animal products out, like chicken that is dunked in salt water.
Yeah.
And you start adding in a more plant-based diet, and you see 20-point drops with blood pressure, which is extremely significant, especially on a population level where you could save millions of lives.
Wow.
It's interconnected. But we always work with the doctor. I don't take people off of the medication. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
But the doctors will always say, especially in the case of Anne, she was 79 years old. She's gotten off. Before our program started, the doctor noticed she was implementing some of my advice. She'd lost 5 pounds and her blood pressure was getting low. Took her off one medication, and her blood pressure was still low. Took her off half of another one. And you know, she can see, she tells me, and you can check out on my YouTube, she's like, I know when my food increases it or lowers it because they're taking their blood pressure twice every day. And they can see real results immediately.
Wow.
Which is why I like that measure. It's very unique. But yeah, we eat out in restaurants where they put a ton of salt. You eat certain animal foods that are just naturally salted. versus the plants that really help us to regulate our blood pressure effectively.
Yeah, so this is a whole foods method. So when we're talking about whole foods, a lot of people will not agree with this type of approach. Like, why? Because I don't think we have mentioned this, but my understanding it is that the whole foods method doesn't include meat.
Right. So the whole food plant-based diet, the research is actually not about vegans. So that's why instead of saying vegan, no meat diet, the plant-based term was coined by Dr. 𝗵𝗲𝗵𝗪, who I've had the pleasure of working with, and his family. And he just found that it's the amounts that we're eating.
Okay.
Like in Okinawa, Japan, they ate fish, but the percentage of their calories was less than 3 or 2%. You know, and what were they eating? Well, 70% of their calories were sweet potatoes or purple yams, which are delicious. They taste like cake. My clients love them. But and in Costa Rica, there's still some meat, but it's more of the flavoring. Versus compare that to America, where we have meat is the center of the plate. And the main thing is people are not eating their greens. They're not eating their beans. They're not eating their whole grains. So instead of just saying this is a vegan diet, we say it's whole food plant-based, meaning there's minimally processed foods, but everyone's ideal is going to look different. So none of my clients are going fully vegan, but they are noticing that they're increasing the healthy plant foods that have been shown to, you know, have 64 times the antioxidants, the anti-cancer benefits than animal products. You know, plants in general tend to help us to reverse our chronic illnesses. So
yeah, someone also could argue that maybe like the foraging or just making these changes can be like really hard for people, especially if they don't have like the budget. Like buying organic foods can be really expensive. They have to eat more to be feel satisfied with this type of diet. So how will you help these people that are in that space?
That's a good question. Yeah, so it can be a concern. I have heard people talk about, you know, plant-based diet may be, you know, too expensive. And the reality is that these are the cheapest foods. And honestly, you know, women save money by enrolling in our program, because if you're buying meat, you know, and you want the healthier option, the grass-fed meat, that's got to be like $10 or $20 a pound. I don't know how much.
$12.
$12 a pound, right?
Yeah, it depends on the type of meat that you get, but it would definitely be from $9 to $13.
$9 to $13 a pound, right?
Yeah.
So with that amount, we can take beans, organic beans, you know, that are non-GMO. You can have lentils, you can have black beans, chickpeas. Those are all going to be $2 to $3 a pound, dry. Which means when you add water to them, it's $1 or $1.50 a pound. And so we only eat 3 pounds of food a day, and there are people that have made meal plans that are literally $25 a week, or about $4 a day. Because you think about the whole grains like oats, these are $1 a pound. You start adding it up, and when I was in Athens, I'm like, I paid $70 and got 60 pounds of food. I mean, how amazing is that?
That I know that people like us value is having really good products that add to our vitality, to our confidence in our beauty, and to our performance. So I want to be able to give you different options throughout these episodes that are going to be good recommendations of products that I am using and that I have scanned through the app that I'm going to recommend today. And it has a quality score of 100 over 100, where you're actually having a good quality product that is not interrupting any bodily function, that is not going to add to your vitality, to your confidence and beauty, and your performance. So the app that I want to recommend is called 𝗧𝗵𝗲. And 𝗧𝗧 helps you to scan different products in your house, in the grocery store, or you can also search in the 𝗧𝗵𝗲 app different products that you may be about to purchase online in Amazon or in another just Shopify store or anything online. And you can see if this product has ingredients that are not beneficial for your body and that are scientifically linked to different illnesses, different diseases, or just not good beneficial effects in the human body. 𝗧𝗵𝗲 is not sponsoring me or anything like that. I'm just using this app and I'm loving it. It has already helped me replace my toothpaste in the bathroom. because I was using a toothpaste that actually someone in the wellness space recommended to me. And when I discovered this app and I scanned the toothpaste, it had a bad quality score. And you gave me a recommendation for something different, because it's not just going to tell you, no, don't buy this, or this is bad for you. It's going to tell you, hey, you can replace this bad product with this one that is not going to be harmful for your body. And of course, if you want to buy something that may not be 100 or 100, you can also see what the other options are, and you can make an informed decision, which is the most important thing, that you have the power of knowing what are you putting in your own body. So you can download the app. It's free. If you want to make a donation to the app, you can, and is like $10 or something for the year. It's like super affordable. No excuse for not to download it and start seeing what products you're using that maybe have these all ingredients that are not good for you. If you have other recommendations of other apps like this, leave them in the comments. You guys not pay me. I just love the app. I have seen some of their information, and they seem to have like a very core center on similar values that I have and my community has, which is being empowered and also having the information, what's good for you, what's not good for you, and having some sort of scientific research behind what we are sharing. So I hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you download it, if you start using it, what products you change, and that's it. Okay, yeah, if someone like listening to this, like they are inspired, they say, okay, like I want to try something different and have change in my diet where I can do some pacing. Maybe I can start with like the low fat maps, eating less meat and more vegetables, but that are good for me. Where could they start? Like, what is the first step that someone can take practically, like today, if they were to implement something about this today?
Well, if you want to go on the low FODMAP diet and you want it to be successful, I really think it is wise to work with a professional that can actually support you on that journey, because that is an elimination diet that should be done with a registered dietitian. And people, not every registered dietitian is knowledgeable about the FODMAP diet. There's so many different paths you can go to. So you want somebody who's dealt with gut issues themselves. You can, of course, download the Monash Institute FODMAP app. That's just $7, best $7 I've ever spent. And that can give you an idea of certain triggers. So, you can take an inventory of your food and just see which ones are FODMAPs, which ones aren't. But I would caution people about doing this alone, because it can be really confusing.
Yeah. Do you think that that's, because my next question was going to be, what do you feel is like the biggest challenge for people? Where do people get stuck? Do you feel like that's where they get stuck, where they don't have the support?
Absolutely. And I think, on this journey, it takes time, especially to heal our gut. If our microbes have been wiped out by antibiotics or we've been in such ill health, you can be on your journey, and if you don't have a clear pathway, as soon as an advertisement comes on, as soon as a new news article comes on, it might not be factual.
Yeah.
It might have been sponsored by an industry that's trying to make some money off of you.
Yeah.
But a lot of people will start something that works, not commit fully, and then say, it didn't work for me in 2 days. Try something else.
Yeah. And is there any prerequisite, like if you want to start in this, like do people have to detox first? Do people have to, I don't know, do like a cleanse or anything that they have to do before like adventuring in changing this lifestyle or like getting into this type of lifestyle?
That's a good question. No, so there's no detox or cleanse. The main thing is that what really detoxes us and cleanses us is fiber moving through our bodies. So we've found, like slimy foods like okra can actually bring microplastics out of our body. Oats can bring the cholesterol, bring the excess hormones. So women struggling with hormonal conditions, fiber helps get the estrogen out of your body. And if you don't eat enough fiber, it just continues circulating in your body and building up. So the real cleanse is bringing fiber through your body, but it's got to be the right type. If it causes a lot of gas and you're in pain, that's going to feel counterproductive and
of course
difficult. So,
of course. So is there like a specific resource that or a book that you feel like people should read about this so they can like deepen their understanding?
Sure. Yeah, one of my favorite books is Fiber Fueled by Dr. 𝗪𝗆𝗪𝘆𝗀𝗀. He also has another book out. I don't even want to say the name. It's like Plant Powered Plus, maybe. And that talks about beyond the food, right? And that's why this is a holistic issue. And that's why we work with dietitians, we work with movement professionals and, mindfulness, because food is social.
Yeah.
We eat what our friends eat and what our family eats.
Yeah.
And if you don't have help and your family doesn't understand, it's going to be really hard to make all these changes that you need to make.
Definitely, like your environment does impact the way that you do behave because of all sorts of different reasons. So if we were gonna, I like to ask this question because I think it helps people to connect to something that we can literally do in the car, like just listening to a song that puts us on the right path. And that's what we want, right? Like if we're in an ascension journey, if we're in the ascension room, we want to be able to put ourselves on that path on that everyday basis, because change doesn't happen easy. Actually, we don't like change. We were talking about this as humans. We don't like change. But if we're going to be on an ascension journey, in the ascension room, we have to step into the room, even if we're not in the room, right? And the way that we can do that I find is very impactful, is through music. And so if you were to capture your journey and you work with women in one song, what do you feel like that song will be? What do you think that song will be?
Right. Yeah. Well, God, I love music as well. There's so many songs. But one thing that I've been listening to a lot is handpan music. Do you know about this? It's a metal kind of instrument. Actually, I've been playing a few of them and recording my own songs, but it is so calming. In the morning, I'll put in my little music headphones while the leaf blowers are going, and I just listen to calming sounds with the birds chirping in the background, right? Like having natural calming sounds while doing the deep breathing practice that we just shared earlier in the podcast. I think people will get a lot of relief from just having something calming, and I've been in the car where I listen to a podcast. It's really engaging, and I'm like, I need to go to the bathroom, and then I change it from an educational business podcast to like
We're not going to change it from the ascension room now.
Don't change it. I mean, come back. But like, if you need to run to the bathroom and you're in a car on the highway right now,
yeah, of course.
Like, maybe we'll put in some like calming music, right? Like breathing. But you need to be aware that if you're in a fight or flight state, you want to move towards less words, less education, more calming, and it makes a big difference. So stay tuned on the podcast, but there's a good amount of healing. Look up healing handpan music and you'll get some really good calm stuff.
Okay. And last question. If there was just only one thing that, because we talked about so many stuff, if there was one thing, one truth that you want people to hold on to it from this conversation, what would that be?
Well, I love to put the one into the holism. So a lot of our education, a lot of our system is reductionist. It says, if your foot hurts, go to the foot doctor. If your stomach hurts, go to the stomach doctor. If your diet's off, go to the nutritionist. And we don't have, in the current system, a central place where we can get everything supported. And so
we're changing that for sure.
We need to see a holistic picture where we get physical contact and connection and massage and relaxation, where we have, what really holds people back is not the knowledge, but the relationships, how we communicate. I know as you do, the work with the women that you're working with is how do we empower our relationship? Because especially when women change, the whole family changes, right? And so
it's true.
The system of let me just tell you what to eat does not take into account your social interaction, your psychological needs, and how we live a day-to-day life. So it's a holistic thing. It takes time, but if you're dedicated, you're gonna make progress.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was so wonderful. I feel so happy we got to do this. I see and feel like the value that we have bring to people listening to this, and having that holistic approach to something that is going to affect our longevity and quality of life is so important for us to keep like nourishing into our minds, into our psyches, into our bodies every day until like it becomes us. And that's part of like the ascension journey.
Ooh, I'm so glad. Thank you for inviting me on the Ascension Room podcast. And I'm hopeful that this will help your friends and listeners just ascend to a higher level of health. So definitely stay connected. And I do have, I share on YouTube, 𝗪𝗏 Wellness. If anyone wants to follow me on Instagram, there's a lot of great resources there where people can try these practices out and learn what's worked for me.
We'll definitely put them all in the description. So if you want to go get to know Josh in a deeper way, please just find him in the description below.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. It's so great to be with you.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you for tuning in. And we are in an ascension journey together. This is the Ascension Room. Thank you for stepping into this room. And we're doing this collectively. So subscribe to the channel, because in that way you can get the notifications when we have more information that is going to be so crucial as we're moving into a collective change when it comes to technology coming and taking over, and us going back to our roots. This is why we're doing this. This is why we're creating this space for you, so we can come back to practices where we are in contact with ourselves as humans, and we're not losing ourselves in this big change that is happening right now with technology. This is going to be so crucial for changing your diet, making sure that you're healthy, so there's less money expend in going to the doctor, and that you can feel and do better once things change, that we don't know how it's going to impact each of us. This is a collective journey. So subscribe so we can grow this room. And what is one thing that you're taking from today so you can implement it right now, today? Just one thing so you can keep ascending, because the change that is happening is gonna leave some of us behind if we're not making a change right now. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next podcast. You can follow us on Instagram as well. If you want to know, you can subscribe. There is a lot of resources in the description if you want to see more of Josh, if you want to see more of us and what we're doing and everything that we have here for you.